A Today's TMJ4 exclusive. The state lawmaker at the center of sexual misconduct allegations addresses them for the first time.
It happened, and I regret it, and it wasn't intended to cause anybody any harm.
Yes, Josh Zepnick says he regrets and apologizes for what happened, but doesn't think he should lose his job.
Democrats have called for Zepnick to resign, but he tells our Charles Benson why he will not. Charles.
Well, there are two sexual misconduct allegations against Representative Zepnick from 2011 and 2015. Both involve kissing without consent from two different women at political events. Both remain anonymous. Neither pursued complaints against Zepnick at the time. Now, the Milwaukee Democrat tells me he made mistakes, but feels he deserves a chance at due process.
I believe her story, and I regret it. I feel bad about it.
Do you think what you did in 2015 was inappropriate?
Based on the description that she gave the reporter initially, I do think it's inappropriate.
The Democratic Party staffer told the Cap Times in Madison it happened at the state party convention after an intense discussion. She said, quote, "We're standing in the lobby and he gives me a hug and then he kisses me and I just turn my head and I'm like, what the expletive? And he's so gross, and I'm upset." The other incident dates back to 2011. The former legislative staffer claims Zepnick was, quote, "pretty drunk," and walked over to say hello, but grabbed her shoulders and kissed her. He says he doesn't remember the 2011 incident.
When somebody says they're harmed, it doesn't matter if I intended it or it was unintended, or whether I remember it or don't remember it, or I was sober or drinking. They deserve an apology when they ask for that.
Is there any reason to believe that you're concerned that others will come forward as well?
You know, I have no reason to believe that.
Zepnick says he's been separated from his wife since 2014 and they don't have any kids. He says both situations happened when he was in the throes of alcoholism. In 2015, he was arrested for drunk driving. He says he has been sober for 2 years.
Are you using that as an excuse in this situation?
No, absolutely not.
Democrats and the party have called on Zepnick to resign. He has been stripped of all his committee assignments. He says that's unfair.
So that's what I'm saying is that there needs to be some sort of process or procedure here that has some fairness and balance to it.
You said you're willing to accept some form of punishment, but not resignation.
Right. I don't think I think that is up here, and you know what I'm talking about is over here.
As for the woman in 2015 who now accuses him,
she may be listening. What would you say to her?
I would have never done that if I had exercised better judgment and had not been drinking. I would never intend to harm her or cause her any distress or hardship, and that I would want to be able to apologize to her in person.
Now, Zepnick says his future should ultimately be left up to the voters. If he runs again, George and Carol, he would be up for re-election next year.
Charles, what about sexual harassment training for Wisconsin lawmakers? I know most businesses have that, but do they get it?
So both the Assembly and the Senate have policies banning sexual harassment, defined as any unwelcome sexual advances. And according to the Cap Times, both chambers are looking into adding new training for lawmakers and employees.
Okay, very important. Charles, thank you very much.
Glad we got to hear from you. Thanks, Charles.